Hello, and welcome to Health, Happiness, and Harmony Partner Training. I'm Dr. Rick Chambers, and today we're looking at the third in a series on addictive behavior. In the second segment, we left off with a list of 3 behavioral descriptions associated with damage to the prefrontal cortex. And the first was excessive risk taking. Excessive risk taking can be thought of in another way. It is an extreme absence of fear. Excessive risk taking requires that we not be stopped or deterred by possible negative consequences or outcomes by warning information, warnings, or concern with the future. Excessive risk taking also requires that we not think about past negative consequences of behavior. So if you think about it, if you can't benefit from warnings nor learn from the past, imagine trying to make a good decision or control your behavior. You can think of this as the power of now gone bad, as escape from worry about negative consequences or even past negative consequences, but it is also an experience of pleasure, freedom, and release. And just this feeling of pleasure, freedom, and release can be thought of as a very powerful motivator. The second behavioral description associated with damage to the prefrontal cortex is an unusual detachment from problems. This means that the person can describe consequences of behaviors, but it's not associated when it comes to themselves with emotions, motivations, or better decision making. When I say what we're doing in describing addictive behavior is novel, I don't mean, or that you heard it here first, I don't mean we're discovering new facts or claiming new facts. It's a different kind of narrative for understanding addictive behavior. And it has to do with, rather than damage to the prefrontal cortex or a disease of the prefrontal cortex, think of it as if there's a switch that brings the prefrontal cortex online and a switch that brings it offline, or a switch with an on or off setting. When this part of the brain is temporarily offline, the person can understand problems, but the negative feelings are stripped away. It's not exactly that they don't care, but the part of the brain that can care is temporarily offline. In addiction, this part of the brain goes offline temporarily, not always associated with intoxication, but with sometimes unknown triggers. Non-addictive people do not experience this kind of profound detachment from problems without extreme intoxication. But you could also think of this escape from problems as an easy button, and if you had one, it would be hard not to push it. The triggering substance, thought, event, or behavior doesn't solve problems. It temporarily disengages the part of the brain that can care about problems. The third behavioral description associated with damage to the prefrontal cortex is difficulty following through with plans, reaching goals, or keeping their word or commitments. These behaviors are impossible without the processes found in the prefrontal cortex. To lose any of these abilities on a temporary basis is the same or more damaging to trust and relationships than never having these abilities in the first place. But believe me, this is just as baffling to the person with addictive behavior as it is to others, especially if they can demonstrate great commitment, reliability, and integrity at other times or in other areas of their life. So what we're coming to understand here is that judgment and caring are two sides of the same coin. And they both require the ability to assess risk and possible future consequences, the ability to learn from past consequences, the ability to work through problems and difficulties in order to follow through with plans or to reach goals, and the ability to keep your word or honor commitments. Judgment is necessary to demonstrate caring in a behavioral way. It's not the same as intelligence, but it is caring combined with intelligence. Others experience poor judgment as not caring. And so prediction and judgment are necessary for trust. And this is what is so baffling and tricky about dealing with anything that can be thought of as addictive behavior. Thank you very much.